Hello, one and all, and welcome to episode 24 of the Contest Realm podcast. As you all know by now, we're available on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. There's a playlist you can catch up and binge watch or binge listen, if you will, to that if you're interested. And probably on YouTube there'll be some time codes or whatnot. In any case, this is our 24th edition, and this is entitled, Dan, did the Dev Diaries deliver chicken balls and Thanos gauntlets? And obviously Dan is my co-host. if you didn't come by to this live stream on Friday, you'll have no idea, and you should come along to the live streams on Friday because they're going to have a very special tone. We're going to be dealing with Incursions stuff, myself and Dan, and some very interesting deep dives. But Dan, thank you for joining. Obviously, if you want to catch up with anything that's going on in the community, you want guides, you want everything covered, go to www.frontlinemcoc.home.blog, make it your homepage. Dan, welcome.
Hey Rich, what a title that really covers the three big stories of the week: Dev Diaries, you finally getting the Thanos gauntlet, and of course chicken balls.
Yeah, I mean, thank God I'm making it into like a little video about that kind of like that fabled Friday. It's a little bit between like having a few, no, not having a few, but having a gin and feeling a little bit relaxed that she can. To be honest, I have no idea what ordering from the Chinese food menu when we talked about that. But the main thing about that stream was us doing experimentations with champions and incursions.
Yes,
which I thought was kind of like it was good because we took in Hulkbuster, which has amazing potential for incursions. Now, we did a Sector 6 test, and obviously that's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. Is, you know, we're going to take this stuff very seriously, but also going to try to kind of like take these champions, first of all, in the tester, which will always be Sector 6, and then seeing if they can transfer into Sector 7. So that may be something we do in the future. How did you find Hulkbuster, Dan?
Oh, he's a lot of fun. Hits really, really hard, and I think the best part is that there's a lot of hacks that really play well into his kit because he gets a lot of buffs, so things like buff cornucopia are great. He has shock debuffs, he has armor break, and there's ways to boost all of those up during your incursions run. So Hulkbuster's a freight train once you get him going.
Yeah, there was I was going to say, there's one highlight of like the buff cornucopia when I was down to like 15% and then triggered off my regen. And I regened, I think it was about 40% of my health because I had a second regeneration from the buff cornucopia. I was magical.
Oh, it's pretty great. And there's a couple of really cool synergies with him that can help you out. There's one with Yellow Jacket, where when you launch a special one, it converts an armor up buff into a fury buff, granting plus 30% attack. So that's a huge attack bonus.
Yeah.
But the best part is if you have buff cornucopia, when you get the armor up buff, you can trigger buff cornucopia. But then when you convert it to a fury, you can trigger buff cornucopia again. So it's you're a kid in the candy store there.
Yeah.
There's another one that I didn't get to test because I don't have her, but there's this House of Iron synergy with Sorcerer Supreme, where Hulkbuster's armor break debuffs have an increased 30% potency. That could be another one that could be cool, and I think Sorcerer Supreme on her own would be a good champion to bring to incursions anyway. So Yellow Jacket, let's face it, he's a backpack. But if you had Hulkbuster and Sorcerer Supreme, then you've got a pretty good 1-2 punch there.
Yeah, there's a lot of fundamentals when you're using a champ. I mean, for me, I'm method of SP1 spamming and then going into like heavy attacks. The great thing about it, there was a specific hack. I can't remember what it was, but I'll probably find it for the video that I'm going to make. Where as soon as you throw a special, you then build power. So therefore, I think it was a case I was just going over the SP1 to about like SP1 and a half, close to about second SP, and I was throwing the SP1, getting straight into being able to like throw another SP1. It was like you could just like do it on repeat, and because it's unblockable, it's just like you're just chaining. It was like the method was just like SP1 heavy attack, SP1 heavy attack, SP1 heavy attack. I know that you could be quite aggressive in timing those heavy attacks, but I think it's up to you whether or not you want to feel like you can take risks. And at times, I don't know if it's really there to take the risk value to go, right, well, I'm just going to go keep spamming heavy attacks and hoping that they don't either throw a special or kind of like, you shoot it off too early or you mistime it. So it's always sometimes better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
But that hack was just so much fun.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun in Incursions, and it's nice because he's very sustainable, especially when duped. Because you've got that backup healing if you get too low. But he just ends the fights really quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the safest way to go, is to just end the fight real quick before you make a mistake.
Yeah, because I think the biggest problem always seems to stem from the end boss. Like the boss always seems to like have something ridiculous. We had like a couple of really stingy ones, or kind of horrible ones. Like we had a Spider-Man that had tenacity.
Oh yeah,
and had something else, and it was so annoying because my internet went scuffy at the time, and I was close to one shot in it, but then it was just the internet kind of gave out, and when it didn't register my swipe back, and then like I knew there was a problem with the internet because you went all crackly, and but you were like, well, it's fine, my end, and then there was another one we had a domino on, unblockable specials.
Yes.
And it's not particularly helpful if like you kind of get up unlucky. That was a problem if unlucky was triggered. So it was a case I was trying to like. I think with that fight, I think I one shot that one just about. But yeah, anyway, that was the Incursions run. We will get into the scheme of things, but I think it's nice to do these podcasts now and maybe talk about some kind of technicals about Incursions and stuff, because Kabam want to put more effort into Incursions, and we want to test out some stuff. So I think we'll start most podcasts off with talking about like our experience from Incursions from the other week, talk about some strategies, and then get into the fundamentals of the show. So that's what we're gonna.
Yeah, and we'll test out some different champs. I mean, you don't need us to tell you that Corvus is pretty neat in Incursions. So we're gonna try to test out some different champions and give you some options.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, busy week last week. All the Dev Diaries are now out.
So much reading.
Yeah, so much reading, and just from a point of like how we're gonna like cover a lot of this stuff, I think we'll kind of scratch over the kind of general feedback from what's been out since then. Do we think that they kind of like tick some boxes? Was there anything missing? Those kind of things. I think that it was people's interest in some of them was kind of like peaking then dropping, with more I think emphasis that people were interested in the alliance, in the quest and champion side of things, and we're still yet to see the numbers really come in for the future of the contest.
That future one's already up to like 45K views.
Wow.
Which is that's crazy now. Like that's gotten that's the future of quest ones. Yeah, the future of quest ones is like 45K views. The contest one, the champion contest evolved, that's at like 5.7K. So that one's still getting read, but certainly the champions and the future of quest, like I think it was all about Act 6. That was the Act 6 and the champion. That was a headline for sure.
Fundamentals for me is that's what I've gone into Magic's limbo. I think I said this before, between now and when the champion buff comes in that what my focus is in game, because at the end of the day I'll probably 100% Act 6.2 in August. I don't know if I'm going to be overly bothered with the Summer of Pain, because at the end of the day it's going to be like, well, what is kind of fundamentally easy for me to do. And I went back, I actually went, every time I go like to myself, what am I going to do this weekend? And I was like, do you know what, I got a bit of time on Saturday, so I ended up starting and then finishing this morning another Path of Labyrinth for Legends.
Nice. Which path did you do?
I did Path, I did a weird path. Like I did Path. The problem is they keep updating, or there was an update for it. I want to say that I did a bastardized version of Path 2, I want to say. A very bastardized version. Because the thing is, I did a bastardized version of Path 1 for my first easy clear. And it dawned on me that what I should be doing is really keeping a log or kind of like drawing the paths that I've done so far, because somebody sent me a message saying, oh, I've missed out a percentage of the Labyrinth of Legends path. So they have to do it now 8 times as opposed to 7 times. So,
yeah, you don't want to do that.
Oh,
Even with
God,
Aegon,
no.
You don't want to do that.
No.
So you did did you do like Venom Pool and Doctor Strange and that path?
No, I didn't. I'm just trying to like see if I can adequately. I went wide, and this is the thing. I don't know if there's like I'm following one. I think that was done back in not 2017, 2018. All I really know is I'm sort of doing it right. I'm pretty certain I don't know. I'm just gonna find the. Okay, I don't know where I've put my path info to, but I'll have to get it up in a second to kind of give you an idea. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And again, where are you currently at with what you might do, or are you holding off as well?
I am going to fight the Grandmaster for the first time this week to get my initial completion of Act 6.
Nice.
And after that, I'm probably going to put Act 6 on the shelf until things get down-tuned, unless it's a case where I have expiring revives or something like that, and it makes sense not to waste them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to get that initial completion, sit on that, do everything we got to do this month, the boss rushes, variant 5, and I'm hoping that will keep me busy until Act 6 is down-tuned, and then I will look at my 100% for Act 6, and along the way, hopefully, acquire the champs needed for the Abyss.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think I'm where mine is like I'm about to do, and this is the thing for me. Next week, I will probably 100% Labyrinth for Legends. That's my plan to do that.
There you go.
I did Path. Yeah, yesterday and today I did Path 1. No, I didn't. I did Path 7, but I had to clear up some issues that I made with Path 1 because I bastardized mine in the case that I went like Path 1, but I kind of chopped it up into different sectors. So I decided to do Path 2. Nope, it was Path 1, but the first time I went, I ended up adopting part of a different path, which I've now corrected on my other attempt. Yeah, but it's all of the outer stuff. So I've done all the outer stuff.
Now, who have you found the most challenging so far in Labyrinth?
I think it's got to be Unstoppable Colossus.
He's a bit of a pain.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's
a longer fight.
Yeah, that was a problem. Also, it comes very early on with Aegon's kind of combo building, and
he's not at his peak yet.
Yeah, so that's something I've been looking into. I should really be live streaming it. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, you should be live streaming it." And it's like the difficulty is that if you find time, and for me, I like doing it over the space of 2 days. With like each fight takes me an hour. Depending on where I am and depending what champion, it can take on average 3 to 5 minutes of fight, which, let me tell you, compared with when I first did it back in 2018, it was 10 to 20 minutes using my...
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's like...
when I was running Labyrinth, I would mark in my calendar like when my wife would be going away for the weekend to like visit a friend and be like, okay, I can do a Labyrinth path that weekend because she won't be home. There'll be no one to hang out with. So and I can play the game for 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight without taking any crap for it. So I mean, doing it with Blade and Stark Spider-Man back in 2018, very different experience than with Aegon now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I had a lot of fun actually. Something I will be talking about is Nick Fury. I've been playing about with synergies, and a lot of people have said like, oh, with Aegon use this synergy, and it's like someone else said, no, you got to use this synergy, and then another one's like use this synergy. And I'm actually preparing a video where people have talked about multiple ideas for champion setups, like for example with Aegon lead, Nick Fury, Quake, Deadpool, and Sentinel. Seaton's one was Angela, Heimdall, Hela, and Star-Lord. There's also Ghost, Nick Fury, why have I put that? Ghost, Nick Fury, Wasp, and Hood. And then the one that I tried out yesterday was Aegon as a lead with Nick Fury, Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, and Proxima. And all of these kind of combinations. The one that I tried yesterday was actually really fun. This was one that got recommended to me probably in the last 48 to 72 hours. Where obviously having Nick Fury in any case, you get to build your you get to have those if Nick's alive, you get the buffer of the 3 evades, which it does help. That's
pretty good.
Yeah, it helps for mistakes. And like, I'm not going to say that I have a perfect run. I have had a few perfect runs, which I will showcase in a few vids. But the fact is, it does help out a lot. And Nick Fury, once I've got him to a point where he's done his life model decoy, it goes into a point and a state where obviously he gets Fury's furious. But what I like to do is I like to make sure he throws 2 L1s. So we've got the 16 of the tactical charges, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And then he becomes unblockable. This way, I can have this really cool method where if I kind of lose my Aegon, I can largely take off a chunk of the enemy's health by, spamming in the combos, ending with a light, and applying a load of bleed. But as well, keep up that pressure against the wall. And it's like, it's been working so well. It's like saved me in a previous attempt with a different synergy build, like a lot more when it comes to like units or revives and stuff like that. So I'm like, this is just really cool. I'm really excited to kind of showcase a lot of this kind of like stuff in the future. But yeah, it's weird to go back to this stuff because I have been considering doing it with Colossus after we talk about I talk about a lot about Mr. Mighty Thumbs Steiny using Colossus for this stuff, and it's really fascinating to see like different champions being utilized. I've kind of derailed our podcast a little bit because
we're still talking about the game.
No, we're good. I guess we're talking about like where we're at. This is the more we've gone for a very technical contest round podcast. We've kind of talked about a lot of like really decent stuff. So hope if you're listening, you're learning a bit, you're finding this interesting, and playing along at home because that's something I never did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've been talking about the idea of like what content we've been doing, how we've been diverting away, what our focus is, and stuff like that. So some of the fundamentals are, which for me and you, I think are the same. We're kind of like you more so because you're an officer in an alliance, but alliances are the key things to you gathering, working together as a team. What Kabam want to stimulate moving forward, improve the quality of life aspects, because obviously that's why we're getting timer improvements. And so much more. But the weird thing about it, Dan, was it wasn't actually the most popular when it comes to like community interest.
I think it was the least popular.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like a dud when it was released. That came out, and I remember saying to a couple people, I was like, nobody's talking about it, like no one's commenting on the videos really or on the tweets about it. It was really weird, and I think that has to do largely with people's feelings on Alliance 4 and how Season 19 seems to be going ahead and is largely not reflective of community feedback.
Yeah.
And I just Alliance 4 Season 19 is in a really tough place with how the community is viewing it. I mean, I don't know about you. I've played on this new map a couple times, and it's not cool.
No.
We're having a lot of people with a lot of problems. But it's also very unbalanced. Like there's some lanes you can just fly right through, and there's other ones that if your opponent is paying attention and knows who to place on defense with one of the new tactics, it's just a roadblock. I mean, we ran into a Dr. Doom yesterday on like I think the left side tier 2 mini. Just brutal. Couldn't he just didn't have the counters, didn't have anything. He was just healing back up, and That's he was going to get us eventually. I mean, it's the off season, so you're not boosting, you're not trying to spend items, but it doesn't look great.
No, I mean when it came to like the well, I don't know. It's like Kabam shot themselves in the foot with like some of the things that they've said. They have said like a couple things. One which I'm going to mention in a moment, and one we're going to mention in something coming up when we start talking about the champion section. But the first thing was that they mentioned something along like reiterating and going back to the thing that everybody literally cannot stand, and I can't stand, is when they say Alliance Wars maps are not meant to be 100%ed. Something that just it ruffles me a bit because there's so much Kabam put too much emphasis on you being competitive, but as well the fundamentals of what it means for the finishing point of a season, the ranking, the positioning from what you get back, rewards on the rank when it comes to like seasons as opposed to like just a standard alliance war.
Yeah,
That's the thing that gets me a little bit. So I don't really like it when they put it, and I don't know if there's. What are your feelings towards that? Like, should an Alliance Wars map be 100%ed, or feel that it should be, obviously to get points and such like?
well, you certainly have to get the boss, or it's going to have a major impact in your season. But I think we've been seeing more and more in season alliances skipping sections.
Yes.
And even with the rewards increase, that didn't really affect people plat 4 and below. So I just think you're going to see more and more alliances just boss rushing, because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth spending the items to 100% it, because if you can get the boss down and you're gold 1 or below, you're probably still going to finish where you would finish if you 100% it. You're not really costing yourself anything as far as placement. So that's kind of how I see it. I mean, it just feels like with season 19, the community is more disengaged than ever with Alliance War, unfortunately. And I know they're talking long term about needing to retool Alliance War, but in the meantime, we're not in a great place with that game mode. And I think that really brought down the amping up alliances post, because the leadership stuff we've been asking for a while, and it's great. And I'm super excited about AQ timers and increased energy. I think people kind of glossed over that because of the problems with Alliance War. But I think when those timers hit next week and you're playing map 6 or map 7 and you can go to bed early and you're not worried about your energy capping as much, because it's going to cap at 6 instead of 5 and 45-minute refresh instead of 60 minutes. I think that's going to be a huge quality of life increase. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to myself, I mean, where I kind of like schedule, like usually after I finish the stream, it's like quarter to and like when I've like finally got to move, it's like quarter to midnight. So by that time, maybe it's a case that it's good because I have more energy to therefore get further on. But I think it's quality of life improvements based on champion availability. For a lot of players, they're at a stage where, especially like the mid-level players, where they don't have, they either have a set AQ team that they use,
Right.
but as well the availability of that would be like for the next day going, well, crap, I want to use my Doctor Doom in some uncollected or Canadian difficulty, but for whatever reason, that go-to champion, which I've been stacking up and is massively helpful, I can't release as early. So that for me was kind of big. That was like the biggest thing, because I'm like, well, I'd love to say that even like now, like moving, what's the time in the UK? Like half past 4 in the afternoon. If we had the increased timers right now, we probably would have been done, and I would be able to release the champions, some of my like really favorite champions that I'm able to use elsewhere, right in that content. Like maybe it was a case I could have now started doing a chunk of Labyrinth for Legends prior to recording the podcast. You know, it's all about that for me personally, but obviously I can understand there's others that may not feel that way. They may feel that there's something else. I know a lot. There were, I'd say, a few murmurings of people saying, "Well, it would have been great if it was 30 minutes."
I think it was a lot of back and forth during the feedback about like what was the best recipe to make everybody happy with AQ and as far as timing and energy goes.
Yeah, I think for me, because I spent and there's a lot of people that still contemplate whether being in an alliance is a good idea or a bad idea, and it was nice to take a month off. And I would recommend, like, I have been umming and ahhing whether or not to actually do a further month off from alliances, but I think I'm going to be committed to see what happens this season. I don't think it's going to be the best season to actually like feel, I'll stick with, but because of like a few things, like the changes to the timers and the extent of energy you can have, I'm going to give it a go and see like how this balances around my frustrations and my pain points of why I decided to go alliance free for the month of like March through to April. Right. It'll be a good tester to see like, okay, well, do I feel that the same issues are there? Like me saying, right, well, because if I spend one day editing 2 videos and that takes me 8 hours total, which is effectively like, you know, that's my working day. I then will have then do some other stuff and then come back, maybe do another quick video and then do a live stream. During that time, was I able to, number one, do what I needed to do from the work purposes? Number two, fulfill my obligations to my alliance through AQ and AW. And a third thing being, how further forward am I on the endgame content? Like, have I done Abyss? You know, and Abyss is a very different ball game to Labyrinth for Legends because the time balance is a crucial issue. You know, a 5 minute fight in Labyrinth for Legends is more appealing to me than what would be a 20-minute fight. Yeah, okay, it might be a slightly easy because I'd be able to use parry more effectively, or you know, I wouldn't have that limber bollocks that have got to be well, not limber, but the build of that. Labyrinth for Legends versus Abyss, but you know, that's the thing. It's making that assessment. Has the changes that Kabam put in place or will be putting in place, is it going to improve where my quality of life, work balance, alliance balance is, or won't it? And obviously that's something I need to assess. I don't know if you'll do any kind of assessments like that, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing map 6, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I play a mix of 6 and maybe a day or two of 7 right now. And 7, the energy is never really a big deal in 7. I think for me, it's always just like, can I get tier 2 to a good place before I am tired and want to go to sleep? And last night I stayed up a half an hour later than I wanted to because I wanted to take down one more linked node so that the boss would be unlinked and I could go to sleep, and then people could do what they wanted to do. And if we'd had 45-minute timers last night, I would have had the energy and taken that node down and gone to sleep. Because I would have had like 2 or 3 extra energy by that point in the day, and we would have started with 1 more energy. So that's kind of the thing I'm looking forward to, is just like, all right, I can go to sleep when I want to in tier 2. Like that for me is a big quality of life thing, because sometimes I'm in the mood to like stay up and I'm like, all right, I got a half hour, I'll grind some arena, and sometimes I just want to go to bed. So it's annoying to have to stay up because you don't want to, you know, screw over the rest of your alliance by leaving the boss noted and then have to scramble in the morning. So that's what I consider a quality of life change.
I think this is the thing with like the underrated, that's probably the most underrated dev diary that was put out, apart from I'd say the Alliance Wars side of things, because the season 19 stuff I think sullied that particular positive reaction to that. I just feel like that's the thing that let it down. Apart from that, it had all the things for me that ticked a lot of boxes. But yeah, just the Alliance Wars side of things I think was the biggest letdown. I don't know where they're going to go with it, because I've never been too I've never enjoyed Alliance Wars for a long time, so I would hope that they would want to either completely redo it, which they kind of allude to, but I guess that's something going to be massively down the line. I mean, where do you think that they could make any kind of changes to Alliance Wars in general, or are we gonna? Do you think we should wait and see what they've got cooking?
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be one of those things that takes a while, because it seems like with Alliance War Seasons, it was the cake had already been baked, and then they got all this feedback, and we're like, oh no, this isn't really what people wanted, but it's too late, right? It just seems like it was too late, and they decided to go forward with it anyway. I think they're in a state now where they've gone from looking at all this data to really listening more to our feedback, which is great. I think you see that in the forums. You see that with this Act 6 focus group. I certainly feel that as a member of the CCP, they're asking for more feedback than ever, which is great. And there was so much back and forth in these roadmaps where they'd be like, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that? And we could give our feedback, say, yeah, like some of this stuff is a really good idea. You guys should run with that. That's a good direction. Like, go that way. And other stuff be like, no, I don't think that's the direction you want to go. You want to think about I think maybe the community's looking for a different thing. So,
yeah.
It was this really intense process of feedback over the last couple months to get to these roadmaps. So it's kind of nice to actually be through it. And I feel like the game in overall is heading in a better direction. Alliance War is a problem. I'm hoping they've got something cool, like maybe boss raids can scratch that itch for competitive team-based gameplay, and we can move away from Alliance Wars, because boss raids does sound cool. The roadmap in general is so interesting, right? Because we think about the things like, all right, we want to fix the problem that we have now, right? We want AQ timers. We want solo objectives changed. We want, better arena rewards. And they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to work on that. But we've also got, here's, ideas for new game modes, or like boss raids, or here's some new functions. Like they're talking about routing an area of effect. They're also trying to develop the new stuff that we haven't thought of that's going to keep us interested for a while. So
yeah, and
it's been a cool process.
Yeah, this is the thing with like them not saving the game, but this is like innovating the game from a point of going like,
yes,
if they said, right, okay, all the stuff that's currently in game, all we're going to do is just build more of the same and stuff, then that's fine. This game will die within the next 12 months. And that may be kind of like a bit kind of like, oh, it's a bit harsh to say that, but it would do. The problem is when there's new Marvel mobile games coming out, there's also other games that are coming out as well. They need to come up with something so innovative that it just kind of sparks that freshness, the new appeal, which for me as a player, probably about 2 years ago, I would have hoped for them to start making stuff like this, and thinking about the idea of like, well, we'll do tag teams. We'll look at the competition, see what the competition are doing, right, and we'll do something that's incorporating with this game, rather than going like, oh, right, okay, so it's just swipe, tap, tap. And then this year we've had the joy of like we're doing something where, okay, well, the fight incorporates you to do a sequence like do a block, take a hit, and I can't remember what the other one is. You've got to do this fight soon with Grandmaster.
Oh, take
a hit,
I mean, it's sort of the
block.
game within a game stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Evade, block, take a hit. So those three things, right? And the thing is, that is the stuff that players want to see more of. That may have as soon as the Grandmaster fight came out, players were like, oh, okay, this is cool. I must admit, the first time I did it, I didn't really do too well at it. But that's, I think, the problem is you've got to experience it for yourself. You shouldn't experience stuff through other people. You can see guides, you can watch videos and stuff, but experiencing for yourself means 10 times more for your personal experience than it would do from kind of like from watching it being done. So yeah, and that's the thing. The game has to evolve to keep going. For if it wants five more years, it needs to be considering these kind of tag team things, the routing, the interacting with what's going on from swiping back. I know somebody sent to me on Twitter. Oh well, if we swipe back and there's a spikes, how am I meant to use Quake? And I sent back the GIF of Bear Grylls, improvise, adapt, overcome, and it's like that's it,
They've got this little node called True Strike that also makes it a little bit tricky to Quake as well. So it's not, there's always counters, and I don't think they want you playing just one champion all the time, and it's probably not healthy. I like having a little bit of variety and team diversity. That's why I'm having so much fun in Incursions, because it's just like low risk to try stuff, right? Like if we did the Hulkbuster thing and it flopped, like what did we lose?
Exactly.
Nothing really. So
that was that starting this off, this Incursions thing for Fridays, when we kind of do it's like Incursions Fridays, is really fun. It's like I've just started getting back into Incursions, but it's because of that. It's like going, right, well, Kabam have just built a fantastic champion in Hulkbuster, which is weird that it's got so much not miscommunication, but kind of a mixed reaction. Sorry, that was good. Because I was surprised with that, because people were going, well, we don't think it's very good, and I think it's one of the best builds so far. It's a champion I've ranked 5. You're considering rank 2ing your 6-star.
Yeah. I mean, the best part about it is, to me, he now feels like Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
Like if you launch that special one, like just think of what that animation. That's Hulkbuster. He's weighs 2,000 pounds, and he's 12 feet tall, and he's just smashing his elbow into you. Like that should feel like it hurts.
Yeah.
and do a lot of damage, and you shouldn't be able to block that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he feels like Hulkbuster now. Like there's some cool damage. It's not just like a bunch of armor up buffs anymore.
Yeah. This is what
I dig it.
Yeah, this is what makes me kind of like hopeful, but a little bit kind of like, well, worried about the Magneto buff. I'm sure that like Kabam are going to do him a solid, because obviously they did Hulkbuster as solid. As well, they did the same thing with Colossus, and I actually have a guilty pleasure in Old Man Logan, which is like...
I like the new Old Man Logan.
Some people even said that they didn't like it. I just thought, I thought he's quite good. Especially because I'd like to do that in Incursions at some point, is pair him up maybe with like Sabretooth, possibly. See if we can get a little bit of his regen off, and then maybe have a look at another synergy to pair up with him.
Oh, there's a couple good Old Man Logan Incursion synergies. He's actually got a really interesting kit there because of the Fury buffs. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think there's one with like Mysterio that like increases his regeneration and will make him even more tanky. So there's definitely some cool stuff to do with Old Man Logan. You get more regen with Sabretooth as well. So I think he could he could be good. I mean, in general, when you talk about anything on this roadmap, like they're not going to get it all 100% right. Like I'm sure there's stuff. I think Masteries is probably a standout where it didn't really get covered. They were never going to get everything in there. Like we got 20, 25 pages of roadmap. Like we got a lot of stuff. We're getting a lot of good stuff. Is it all, is every buff going to be exactly like we want it? No. But the overarching takeaway for me is this is high level, far out communication. It's very different than anything they've done before, and it just shows that they're thinking far ahead and doubling down on their commitment to the game. There's always been this narrative since Realm was announced. They're just going to kill off MCOC and everyone's going to switch to Realm, and it's like, all right, first off, like Realm isn't even out yet. It's going to be very different gameplay. You might not like that gameplay. You might just like you might like Realm's gameplay more, but you might like MCOC's gameplay more. We don't know. But you don't retune all of Act 6 if you're going to try to kill the game off in 4 months when you release your new game. That's just crazy talk. That's not how businesses work. MCOC is still their biggest game by far, which, businesses don't usually kill off their biggest moneymaker.
No.
It was number 1 in the in iOS sales on July 3rd.
If anything, they've made these quality of life improvements or a lot of the stuff, more emphasis on you having more time available. So they're kind of making it more applicable for you to have extra time to play Marvel Realm.
And that's fine, because if you want to play Realm, then you've got time to do that. If you don't want to play Realm, well, you're not wasting your time doing the stuff in MCOC you didn't want to do either. It's a total win.
Yeah, I don't think people have invested too much time in the game as well to kind of stop playing. And obviously, do bear in mind, if you stop spending and stop playing the game, then they're not going to run the game. So that's another kind of thing to say that, well, if everyone then jumps ships to Realm, then obviously they'll go, right, well, there's no point us running Marvel Contest Champions because it's making no money. We therefore can't run it. So that's the other thing.
And remember that the Realm team is a different team of developers than MCOC. So if MCOC goes away, it's not like all those developers at Kabam just get to switch over to Realm. Yeah. Someone already has their job over there. So they are very incentivized to keep the game going.
Yeah, I'm still working on a story, which I'm trying to do. I'll probably have it next week, because I was trying to find out whether or not there's a Kabam acquired in 2019 a Montreal studios called what did I call it? Riposte? I think it was Riposte Studios. But the problem is I'm not able to make it stick to actually find out that the Marvel Realm team is actually working. So basically, the Marvel Realm team is Riposte Game Studios, because a lot of games developers, when they got bought out, they usually kind of keep their team and then restructure against what game they're trying to make, rather than saying, we've got your building, now bugger off and we're bringing in all the, come on team, come on in. It's not like that. They'll buy out studios to then construct games. So I don't know if that is in association with Kabam's build of Marvel Realm. I'm still not. No one's confirmed that. However, though, NetEase, who obviously are the parent company of Kabam, or Marvel Contest Champions, or Marvel Realm, or I think it's Kabam actually. They have set up a Montreal studio, which is their own. So I don't know if they're working in conjunction with them or working closely with them for delivering something. But obviously, underneath that wing, you also have Marvel Future Revolutions as well. So where that's coming into it is going to be another thing. So the Marvel mobile games landscape is going to look very different by 2021, because you got
super competitive.
Marvel Realm will launch to the end of this year. Then early next year, I'd probably say we'll start seeing Marvel Future Revolutions, which I think is going to be incredibly different. But the thing is, MCOC, with this innovation and the way that they're building stuff, is accumulating a lot of different genres of build, from taking ideas from Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Marvel Future Fight, so many other different games. And that's the thing. They are now becoming innovators for creating the combat-based mobile game, which is like, if you said about, 5 years when they started doing it, they kind of were, but there are other games out there. Now they're just like, that final dev diary for me just kind of went, do you know what, I'm impressed with what you want to do.
Yeah, I like it when they get creative. I think that for, by and large, I know I've said this before, that their greatest victories have been when they've gotten creative, and a lot of the reason people were upset was because things got stale and they weren't getting creative, right? So like Incursions, very creative. My Little Symbiote, he's super creative. Thanos boss fight, Grandmaster boss fight. Maybe the Champion is that one case where they maybe overdid it. Although that really wasn't so much about like the phases. It's just like they kind of didn't get the numbers right.
Yeah, I think the damage through the block, the overscaling of the nodes leading up to it.
Wrong nodes. Yep.
There's a few things. So there's a few things from me personally that I didn't like, but seemed to be the, Kabam even addressed some of those stuff, and I was quite impressed because I didn't think they reduced down the extent of prowess that you needed, but I was like, that's cool. That's massive, as well as the block penetration stuff and the no retreat. I thought that was great.
Speaking of the champion, did you see Sweetah's champion video that he put out yesterday?
I've heard of the Kamala Khan incident. Was it like 2 minutes or something?
Dude, 2 minutes. It was. I mean, it was like watching like a symphony get played out. Like I've had very few experiences where I've seen someone do an MCOC fight that is just like watching like poetry. Like in Invincible using Doctor Strange in the Summer Showdown, that was definitely one of them. MSD She-Hulk fight at New York Comic Con, but this Kamala Khan fight, it was perfection. It was like this dude is an artist, and we're just all hacks.
I heard of it, but I haven't seen it properly through. You posted up, so I was like, I just thought that was quite impressive.
Take the 2 minutes, but I mean, it won't help your self-esteem.
No, well,
what this dude does with Kamala Khan.
What was the what was up? Was any nodes up or?
No, it was unnoted.
Unnoted. I guess that's fine. How
just the spacing and the timing of everything.
What about the Unstoppable? How was that dealt with?
I'm not exactly sure if there's something in Kamala Khan's kit that I don't know about that was preventing some of them. It definitely procced some of the time. But I want to bring her up real quick and see if there's something I don't know about her, just because I never.
Maybe this is a synergy pair up that maybe had some kind of like slow debuff or, God. Sounds
because you got Fury passives. No, I think it's all about Fury with her. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah,
I don't know that there was anything specifically about dealing with the Unstoppable there, but if I am wrong about that, someone let me know. But it didn't seem to matter.
Yeah,
it did not seem to matter. And of course, once he got to that final 10% phase, he bait the SP1. He's far away, dashes in at the perfect moment, dashes away at exactly the perfect moment 5 times in a row. And ends the fight. It was ridiculous. Like, there's just no panic, just total control the whole time. Just
and I'm looking at it now. It's like he still goes into parry and then hitting through whilst unstoppable. Obviously, you guys can't see it, but if you follow Dan on Twitter, then you'll know this. Hang on a minute. How did he do? That's weird. The unstoppable just looked like it not expired, but it got nullified. I'm confused. So he threw a special attack and he nullified the. It didn't come up with nullified. It just disappeared. Does weakness have any kind of bearing on it?
Yeah, I don't know.
He just did it.
I don't know. I'm looking at her kit right now, and I don't know.
There's something very. Does armor break have any bearing as well? Man, is it? I need to have a look at this. It looks like it's like it's going away. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what team was set up with this, but I have a lot of questions with this. It looks like a synergy team has kind of like helped this out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Does he say the Not sure that he actually says the team that he's.
That's it. Somebody says, I know her SP1 nullify was good, but I didn't know it was this good. Man, there's a lot of stuff to that particular. I'll have to have a look at this then. Sorry, anybody that might be listening. We've derailed this, but this is a very technical edition.
We have.
This is a very
but go watch the
edition.
video. It's definitely worth your time to check out this video.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's a lot of stuff obviously I didn't know about Kamala Khan, especially an awakened version that he must have.
And he's got her at 565. He's all in.
Hang on a minute. This attack triggers up to 4 stacks of fury, each increasing attack by... That's the SP1, so that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any nullify in her kit.
Yeah.
Or in her synergies. So...
I think this raises more questions. Looking at the comment sections, most people are just going like, "Oh, it's amazing." Just like, well, it doesn't really explain the build, and even somebody saying,
how does he do it?
What synergy
how
pair?
Do what you do, Sweetie. How do you do it?
I'm gonna have to go to like Marvel Synergy now, just to kind of like see if there's something that I've missed off about this. Because like now I'm kind of like, I'm not pissed, but I'm pissed not to know more about like what has recently come out for Miss Marvel Kamala Khan that could represent anything. Recent synergy builds for this champion have been Nick Fury's associated one with Fury Length. Stark Spidey. I don't think that does anything. What have we got here? So potency of Fury buffs. I think this just like this asks more questions than it does answers. So we'll kind of like, I think we'll keep it there.
Yep.
Because it's just getting a bit too ridiculous. Okay. So back on topic now.
Back on track.
Yeah. And it did seem that there was something in the Champions dev diary that was a bit kind of, well, it gave me a lot of anxiety, and that was them saying about nerfing, like they still would nerf champions, or they've got ideas of champions they're going to nerf in the future. How does that sit with you?
I take that as the standard. We reserve the right to alter champions because we can't ever promise you we'll never do it. So we're just reiterating that. I don't get the sense that it's something that they're looking to do right now. I think they're trying to boost up champions.
Yeah.
But they always want to reserve that right. So I don't think it's worth losing any sleep over.
Right. Okay.
Right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just for me like champions that haven't really gone through the champion balance, which were meant to, like the likes of Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom, Sunspot. Yeah. I mean, there was
so many. There's so many. Oh no, Dan, you might have cut out.
Oh, we finally... we were doing so well.
I know, we had 54 minutes, so that was quite good so far.
I know.
So you were saying Sunspot?
Yeah, just they never really got beyond that first round of champion balancing, right? With like Namor and Cull.
Yeah.
That took forever. And by the time they were done, it was like, well, then we got into sort of the feedback and the roadmap, and everything was sidelined. That was just too much of a process with how long it took, the compensation. Like, I don't know. I don't know that it's ever going to be really worth it for them to do that.
That's true. Yeah.
And they've been much better about releasing more balanced champions.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Champion buffs are the ones they've got lined up, I think, for a lot of players. I don't know if these are the ones that Kabam would say that players, they're higher percentage in the game or not. That would be interesting to find out where they go with the scheme of things. Because if you think about it, like, would it have been better for them to go, okay, well, let's go with, okay, say a percentage ring for, I don't know, lots of people have Iron Patriot as a 6-star. Right. So therefore we go, right, Iron Patriot's the first one because the higher percentage of people own an Iron Patriot, so we'll buff that first. But whether or not it's kind of like just gone, or how they've picked these champions in particular, I'm not quite sure. I think obviously Magneto has had this massive cult following for a while, and obviously doing justice via the champion. And I'm hoping that they've literally just got something in mind that is going to be just so godly, unless they're going to put in another god. And obviously I've got my theories that September, I think we've both agreed that September's going to be, because August's like the Herald month, isn't it?
Right. I think August is going to be another Herald, and I don't see how story-wise it makes sense for a Herald and Professor X. I think they're going to be two separate stories.
Exactly. And this is the thing where I've got my theory that we're going to see Apocalypse.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, Professor X and Apocalypse in the same month doesn't get much more epic than that.
No.
That would be pretty cool. So, yeah, I think with these champions, I think Magneto's one where it fits with the narrative and it's been called for a long time, and maybe they think it's a little easier to do like a 2-for-1 with these with Magneto, even though they're going to be getting different kits. Maybe they're going to be along the same lines.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, because they've said they're going to also do some work on Punisher. He's going to get Punisher 2099 is going to get a tune-up and then an update to Gambit and Falcon. So it seems like they're trying to alternate between like the champs that just need a little numbers tweak, some that need a little bit of boost to the kit, and then your Magnetos that need a whole new kit. I think Iron Patriot certainly falls in that whole new kit category. So,
yeah.
but he's also just not, I don't think Iron Patriot gets the love that Magneto does. He's just not as popular a character.
Exactly. I just felt that it was such an obscure one for them to put it in the beginning. But there's so many things happening this summer, and I think the exciting thing about a lot of these dev diaries is that it's always the case that even though Kabam said, oh, it's going to be this summer, this is going to be in August, this is going to be towards this part of the year, it's going to be a case that Kabam know what they've got to do, but it's going to be more of a surprise for me. Now that I know that the developers said, we're going to do it, and yeah, I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there just go like, well, it's on paper, so they need to follow through with this, and that's the thing. I'm pretty certain they will follow through with it because they need to do this for the good of the community, the future of their game, and so many other factors. So they've got everything to lose by obviously not acknowledging and not acting on what players have had to say. So they're going to do that. I mean, for me,
they put it out there now.
Yeah. I mean, the exciting thing for me is the Scarlet Witch, which I'm going to have to save some money for.
Oh, yeah. The 5-star Wolverine was a big enough deal that 5-star Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed with how...
Pig Bank Rich.
Yes, I think I'm a little bit annoyed how Kabam have kind of looked to put these champions in, because if they do Wolverine with the early access and then give more of an indication that it's going to be more widely available for players this month. So it's Sabretooth in the arena. Are we going to have Wolverine next week? Possibly, and that means we're going to have featured Cavaliers, and this is why I've spent a lot less on the 4th of July deals, is because like in the next 2 months I don't want to say like, right, well, I'm spending an extra £400 on featured Cavaliers in order to try and get it. The Scarlet Witch arena, if it goes in, is it going to be close to 80 mil, 90 mil, more than likely? And it's a case I'm psyched for it. I've got so many kind of resources available for it. That's one of the reasons I've gone back into Labyrinth Legends, and why I've kind of like totalized up that one of the unit deals I've worked out, if I think it's 4,000 units. I'm just going to go back and get this deal up. I think I worked this out earlier. So the Great Awakening bundle, which is an Awakening gem, 15,000 5-star shards, tier 5 basic catalyst ×1, the tier 2 alpha signature stones and a gold for 4,000 units. I've actually worked out I could, with less than 4,000 units, actually get a lot of those stuff, like 90% of that stuff, from 100%ing Labyrinth for Legends. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to save a bit of money and save a bit of units by then maybe kind of taking a lot of the units remaining and either saying, number one, do I do Abyss of Legends initial clear, or do I put that towards getting Scarlet Witch? So you've got to make these assessments based on like, am I overspending? Should I not spend? And one thing myself and Dan have always reiterated is if do not feel you have to spend. If you've not got the means to do it, then just go, oh, that's cool, I'll get there eventually, and enjoy the game at a very kind of casual pace.
Yeah, definitely. I do think Wolverine's going to fall in that arena between Guardian and Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I think so. That would put him in the arena on July 16th. So that would mean I think the Cavs usually drop the calves drop on the same day for the featured arena champ, right?
Yeah.
So maybe a week and a half might be Wolverine Cavalier crystals.
Yeah.
That could be fun
And this is
for people that like those.
This is where I get my predictions now for Scarlet Witch, because I think that's coming in August. And how I feel that's going to come in is they're going to look to then tag that with Magneto. Even though there's like, I'm not going to go into the comic book technicality of whether or not Scarlet Witch is the daughter of of Magneto. We're not going to entertain that.
We don't need to discuss all the retcons.
Exactly. But I feel that that's going to be something that they're going to tie into August sometime for an arena and featured Cavaliers and maybe an early access deal. And that, again, is based on the idea that, we'll have the Magneto buff towards the end of... I'm going to say it's the 31st of August. No, that's not right. Yeah, that is right. Yeah, 31st of August.
That update, yeah.
Yeah, yep. So that is when you're going to see the Magneto buff. I don't know that to be true, but if they play it the same way they did with Hulkbuster, then I'm going to say 31st of August is going to be the Magneto buff. You'll also see, and again, this is me hazarding a guess, you'll see early access crystals for the 5-star Scarlet Witch on the... I can't remember when they put Wolverines in. Can you remember, Dan?
When did that come in? That was sometime last week.
Yeah.
Right after the update. So.
Right. So if that was the.
So the update's on the 31st, maybe sometime around the 2nd, 1st or 2nd, maybe.
Yeah.
Of September.
Oh, I think it's gonna. I think that you're right. I think that's got to be it. It's gonna be there first. We'll go with 31st of August. That's when you see the Magneto buff. The day after, I'm guessing Scarlet Witch.
Predictions.
And then September, you'll start seeing stuff like the arena, which, let's face it, is probably going to be not Thursday the 3rd, but Thursday the 17th.
Probably, yeah, because the 10th and the 24th will be new champs. So one of those will be Professor X.
Yeah. And then
I think that's likely.
And my guess is that we'll see Apocalypse on the 24th, and with Professor X on 10th.
Now, what Apocalypse do you think it'll be? Because they've been pretty adamant that we're not getting the Realm Baron versions of champions as playable characters in MCOC for quite some time now. Obviously, that could be misdirection. They could just decide, all right, yeah, we said not for some time, and some time has passed.
Yeah.
Or are we going to get like classic 90s cartoon Apocalypse, which I think is what the community really wants.
Yeah, I would love that. I think it would just top up a fantastic summer from like the Dev Diaries and things like that. I'm a bit kind of unsure because I feel that there may be a push towards putting that in order to start hyping the game. If not, it would be something in October. That's the thing. Like, it seems to be, we haven't seen anything like a new Spider-Verse champion or, Spider or Horde champion like Scar. I'd love to see Scar in the game, to be honest.
Scar would be awesome. I think that'd be just different enough.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. It's not Bruce Banner. So that it's a Hulk, but it's not Bruce. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And he would have his own narrative. And like with the Baron being Scar, like that kind of plays in with his whole story from the comics anyway, right? Like where he's left on, after Planet Hulk, he's left and grows up on his own, and Hulk isn't around. So I think that was an interesting choice to make him the Baron and not Bruce Banner.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like I would love the 90s version. Obviously, that is just what I feel. I could be completely wrong, but I just feel that the way that it was worded, and there's so many other villains out there that have been the biggest foe against. Yes, maybe it won't play into like House of X for the kind of association with the Marvel Now version, but the OG Magneto. Could be that it fits into the scheme of things for there. I don't know how Gabe's kind of like tailored the story based on the travel narrative. Is this over? Is this secret wars? Is this space and time? Is Apocalypse existing out of space and time? Does Professor X's involvement in the contest in September? What is it called? The Lazarus? Is it Lazarus? No, it wasn't called the Lazarus. What is it called? I should know this. The chamber, as it then awoke the whatever House X version of Charles Xavier has done, has then awoken Apocalypse, which I think would be a cool story to then interweave into what's going on and create this fantastic kind of story with it. But we'll have to wait to find out those kind of things.
I'm excited. September's usually an X-Men month, and those are always my favorite stories. The X-Men, that was my real entry point to Marvel Comics, so I always love seeing more X-Men in the contest.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Kabam is like it seems to be they're going to go big, and that's the thing, go big for year 5 going into to year 6, which is obviously going to start I'd say the new era of the game, transitioning into we're now gone from like the old meta now into like the new meta of the game, which is hopefully all about transparency and is building content that's built with feedback in mind, which I think Kabam have alluded to they want to do more of in the future. So we'll have to see. Obviously, we still take things with a pinch of salt, obviously, because it's been years in the making to get to a point where we had the cataclysmic explosion that we did a couple of months ago. So, we have to live with hope. I'm just thinking, if there's anything in the roadmap that stood out or kind of like was missed. I know the biggest thing was like the mastery switching thing, which was kind of like a big thing to miss out, but I don't know if that's something that will be addressed down the line. It depends on development time, because the thing is, Kabam have to like right so many wrongs in a very short period of time. Doing something like maybe that they were slightly focusing on, they may have to scrap a lot of stuff to then get the game up to code, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they don't know about the issues the community has with mastery builds. They know. They've been told many, many, many times, and many solutions have been offered. As to why it was left out, I don't know. I don't know how easy it is to build what they're talking about different pages of masteries.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to why it was left out, but it's not that they're not aware of it.
And that's the thing. They've got, as I said, they got lots to do.
They got a lot to do. There's a lot of good stuff here. Everyone's got their own little thing that is number one on the list that would make their life better. For masteries aren't that big a deal for me because I don't change them. But if you're an arena grinder and you need to be respecking suicides all the time, well, that's a pain point for you, and it is a clunky system. I think everyone acknowledges that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it was weird to find out with Arena that obviously there's fundamental improvements, but also there's maybe something that, and I was waiting to get an answer on the fact of like, well, are milestones going to change? Like shards for milestones, so the milestones are going to increase, improve in general. Are we going to see? And instead, like, I know that they were going on about like we're going to put a new mode in, which is maybe not so arena based, which it's I don't know. Sometimes I feel that that's kind of has that gone away from the point which is required for players to really kind of gather units, gather shards, and other things like that. It's something still I think needs a little bit of work doing to it, but if they can increase the speed between loading different pages, which that's one of the biggest things I think they wanted to emphasize and work on, then that's something of a start point. I guess it's a case of like looking at whether or not the volume of shards and the type of shards from milestones can be looked into, because I don't see any value in having prems. Yes, it helps out for max signatures. But as well, what would improve more is to get something that was maybe a guaranteed 3-star from having Grandmaster shards, or well, to a lesser degree, well, not lesser degree, but to meet kabam in the middle, because I don't think they would go like, here's a load of Cavalier shards, because theoretically you get an option of getting a 6-star, getting a chance to get a 6-star, so I don't think they would be inclined to do that.
Right.
So,
I think with Arena, sometimes it seems easy what we're asking for. It's like, well, why are we getting premium shards instead of uncollected shards, or why aren't there Cavalier shards? It's like, all right, well, how do you break that out? Like, do we now have title-based arenas? Does that mean more arenas and that you're running? I don't think it's just as easy. If something like that isn't as easy as just like, all right, put some more gold in there. So we know with things like battle chips and units and gold, they're always looking at a more holistic approach, and it's like, all right, we'll put a little bit here and a little bit there, and you won't notice that much, and it'll build up over time. And as players, we're addicted to like the big hits when it comes to rewards. So as always, I think now that they're listening more than ever, we just have to keep giving the feedback, keep talking to them, and hopefully they will continue to check off the boxes on this enormous to-do list they have set out for themselves.
Yeah.
And the game will be in a lot better place very soon. But as far as the roadmap overall, I think it's been a long but fruitful process.
Yeah, I agree. There may be like a few things that I feel were missed out. I think the biggest one was the alliances, and maybe like some stuff when it comes to like alliance wars. But apart from that,
sure.
if this is going to be where they're going to take the game, and yeah, I know that people would say like, we want time frames. I know the kabam have done better in some of the future dev diaries to give like dates and times to people, and yes, maybe that's the problem, that for some like seeing that we have to wait till the release of Act 7 or Book 2 Act 1, that it doesn't exactly represent speed. But the problem with that is, and I can see it from kabam's standpoint, is that they are focusing on people that have 100%ed everything, because at the end of the day, those are going to be, number one, the big spenders. Number two, going to be a lot, they're going to be bored because they got nothing to spend on, or they got nothing to kind of like take their rank 3 6-stars in and smash out, like Summer of Pain and Act 7. But this is the thing, kabam are retooling a lot of stuff for those that aren't really there, but it's going to take longer because they have to rewrite their mistakes, because like kabam made a load of mistakes, and they need to rewrite them, and unfortunately to rewrite mistakes you have to focus forward, and focus forwarding requires time to redevelop where they made some of the biggest mistakes in content creation in the career of it. So yeah, it's a process,
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time. We need to be patient, but the cool thing is we know a lot more of what's coming.
Yeah.
So there's stuff to be excited for, and there's a lot to keep us busy in the meantime with Canadian difficulty and Herald difficulty and the boss rushes and Summer of Pain. So Variant 5, like I feel like there's going to be a lot to do in game this summer. So I'm okay with some of that other stuff taking a little bit longer. I'm okay with like, all right, maybe I won't come back to Act 6 until the fall because there's other stuff I'm going to get to do.
Yeah.
So as long as there's something fun to do, it doesn't have to be just Act 6 or just Abyss.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go. I'm going back doing some old content I've 100%ed, and I'm going to do. Maybe I'll 100% variant 1 because I haven't done that. Maybe I'll go back in August and 100% 6.2. But it allows me to have just a bit of a respite while I focus on stuff like other stuff in my life, like doing Iron Man VR, which I start that series tomorrow. One thing I want to ask you, Dan, is what were your thoughts on the first mission of Canadian difficulty?
I mean, I found it really easy. So I'm interested to see where they go with it. I think it was easy, easy gameplay for those rewards.
Yeah.
To be honest, so maybe they're starting off slow and they're going to ramp it up, which is fine. I mean, the whole point of this came out right and said it. We're going to test out the rewards and the difficulty level and take some data. But I think you saw it and you released a video about it. There was some nodes in there that those of us that have played some map 7 are very familiar with. And for people who have just hit level 55, they're like, what is buffed up? What do I do?
Yeah, I love that.
So,
that was great. It was so, I mean, that's the thing. Maybe I'm taking it as an approach of going, okay, so I've done, I've got the champions and I've dealt with Act 6 and obviously Act 7, but the combination with the rich get richer and buffed up seemed to be a lot of problems. But for me, I was like, I've got ideas of counters, and I was like, let's make a cool video. Not that a lot of people went out to watch that video, but I mean, I had fun making it because I was like, I'll just
it was a little different.
Yeah,
it was good.
Exactly. I thought that was kind of nice to do.
I think that's something that people who have just gotten Cavalier or just hit level 55 and can do the difficulty, they're going to have to get used to these more intricate nodes because they're going to be a big part of what Cavalier difficulty ends up being.
But that's the thing.
That's just where the game goes. I mean, but you learn that in Act 5 too, right? Like when you first hit masochism, you're like, this game is the hardest thing ever. I'm never going to complete another path. But you learn and you get through it, and this is just another step along that way. So it's going to be a cool way to introduce people to some new nodes because buffed up isn't actually a bad node if you understand how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think with a lot of this, this is the problem. Okay, so people said it's not fair to allow Cavalier difficulty or the Canadian difficulty to be not available to those that have just achieved the title, which is at level 40. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that people's rosters may not be at the point of being ready for that, and as well, you may be coming into contact with buffs that you've just got Cavalier, but you haven't done anything at 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4. So it means theoretically you're not ready for it. And I know that might be a bit harsh to say, but if you're not facing off against this stuff or kind of like ready for it, then this is going to be a problem. Even more so a problem because you are now allowed to bring in 4 stars to a difficulty that technically, if you base it on Act 6, you were not able to bring in 4 stars for. And if people are doing that thinking, oh, right, well, now that I've got my 4 stars available and this is a good counter, you're going to eat a lot of damage through your block, or you're not going to be able to kind of like, I'd say, get the best experience that, say, maybe I've got with rank 5 stars compared with your rank 5 4 stars, or as well your rank 2 or rank 3 5 stars that are unawakened against that content. I sympathize with people, but at the same time you have to make that assessment. Am I ready for this difficulty?
Absolutely.
Should I take some time to gather more champions, more higher rank ups, so I can make the content easier? Maybe that's something of a video idea for me, is to go like, how do you make the jump with your roster where it is to where it should be to take on Canadian difficulty in the future? But that's
that's just the game does require of players a bit of self-awareness, right? Like for 99.9% of us, there is something in the game that we're not ready for.
Yeah.
And that line is different for everyone. And it's tough to say it's not the content, it's me. It's either my skill or my roster. Like if I went into Abyss right now with an unduped Nick Fury, no Doom, no Aegon, no Human Torch, and get my butt kicked, is that Abyss's fault? Or is that me with full knowledge of what the counters are, but not having them in my possession going in anyway?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like there's a point, like you've talked about Variant 1, right? Like Variant 1 is very hard. And you have to have a mature, diverse roster and learn how to play with some nasty things like that Buffett Korg and all sorts of spite and ridiculous EMP Ultron. Like you've got to be ready for that or it's going to be a bad time. But once you've got the counters in place and your skill, like you can actually get through it.
Yeah.
So, but we all have these stops along the way where we reach a peak and we need to say, all right, maybe I need to go in a different direction. for a while. Maybe I need to focus on story quest or the event quest, or maybe an initial completion of a variant and come back to something and it'll be easier. So like, not all content is made for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you have to complete Act 4 to unlock Act 5 and complete Act 5 to unlock Act 6. So it's just part of the process. And sometimes with these side quests, you're going to see stuff that you're just not ready for, even though you can open the quest.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you shouldn't ever feel rushed to do it.
No.
Labyrinth of Legends for me is something I've always wanted 100%. Is it out of the current meta as something like Abyss of Legends? Maybe. Can I now do it with a less unit spend than I did before, and also less kind of like quality of life impact? Of course, and that's what the thing that entices me at the moment. Have you 100% Labyrinth?
Yeah, I did it. I did it back in, I think, September of 2018. I did my final path.
Nice.
So it was kind of a 6-month process between 100%ing Act 5 in February of 2018 and then turning my attention to Labyrinth over the next 6 months. But it was one of those things where I'd do a path, I'd grind Arena for 6 weeks, save up like 3,000 units, and go back in.
Yeah, I won't. I was going to say, like, a path cost me.
No, it's ridiculous now.
Yeah, it cost me 40 units.
Right, it's a little bit different now. But you say, all right, the rewards are out of the meta, but if you're not spending 2,500, 3,000 units on a path, well, the rewards don't have to be as good.
Exactly. And like that's the thing with me even saying now, like the because I was tempted, because this Greater Awakening bundle, which is in the store to grab at the moment, is like whether or not I feel like I want to spend 4,000 units to get the, and this is the thing, I've got to make the decision. Luckily we got like over 22 hours, 26 hours to make a decision.
It's nice that we get the whole weekend.
Yeah, and like the stuff going like, well, look, I get 15 times 5 signatures, 5-star signature stones. So what's that? That's 75 if I do my quick math. 75 tier
75
2
generic. Very nice.
Tier 2 alpha times 6, tier 5 basic. I've got too many tier 5 basics. 5-star nexus, 15,000 5-star shards, and 1 generic awakening. But I can probably spend about another, I'd say, cost me in the region about, I'll say worst case scenario, it cost me another 2,000 units to 100% Labyrinth for Legends, which gives me a 2,000 unit saving. I can then reallocate to something like Scarlet Witch crystals, or I then make the decision of going, I've got 6,000 units in total. Do I buy the 6-star Greater Rank Up bundle? I get 1 6-star, 2 times 10% tier 5 class catalyst, signature stones for 6-star. I have to make that decision whether or not I feel that's a value. And I think that I won't be any closer to getting a tier 5 class catalyst fully formed, but I can then reprioritize getting a 6-star pretty soon with doing 100% of 6.2 in August. So yeah, and also, like I said, I can spend less units and gather the same resources from 100% Labyrinth for Legends. So it's, you have to always think rhyme and reason to what you're up to. And like, I can have some leftover units and do an initial run of Abyss. And it's like, but then I got to allocate against the time. Do I have the time to do it? Because I've got Iron Man VR to do and other stuff like that. But, apart from that, I'm pretty content. And I'm pretty, actually, I'd say, I was refreshed a little while ago, but I'm more enthusiastic about Marvel Contest of Champions than I was in the last, say, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot more to look forward to, and just the narrative about the game has bounced off of that bottom. So it's just more fun to talk about the game. Like, it's a lot more fun to talk about what we're excited about and what's coming versus what's broken. Yeah,
and that's the thing about as well, like the idea with the Incursion Fridays that we're doing, and kind of then getting involved.
Just have some fun.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that I've not felt for a while. I've not felt that I'm having fun, and I think it's a case that there's more. I just felt more kind of like stressed about. And yeah, I can take or leave like
Yeah.
the connection issues and maybe some dropped inputs and stuff when it comes to that. By the way, I do need to change my internet provider very, very soon, but that's another story for another day. Apart from that, yeah, I think that's the thing to kind of like start the end point of this podcast on, is saying I'm in a better place with the game and I'm more optimistic. And yes, okay, there will be the stuff where I've got to go, well, you know, kabam, I've got to follow through with what they're saying. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, with where we can expect them to be, the Sunday after the release of all the roadmaps, we're in a much better place than when the process started. So
yeah, I think
to the future.
Yeah, we've also talked about the idea that we want to try and make the next podcast have a member of Kabam on it in order to, and we may have to like change our schedule around, which will be fine, but it would be good to say that next week's edition could be maybe asking those questions to like, you know, well, how did Kabam take this? Where did you kind of like think about the structure of things, you know, the kind of the thought process around what they had to address, and do they feel that, you know, they've adequately done that, you know, based on feedback. So we'll try and do our best to try and get a member of Kabam on, and then we'll try and then as well change the narrative of what we do with some of the podcasts, because for the last month and maybe more, we've been very much focused on the future of the game.
Yeah, feedback and the roadmap, and I mean that was the right call, but we're finally through that process.
Yeah, which is it's good. We've kind of like we phoenixed this. We're rising from the ashes anew. Dan, what are you up to next week?
Well, I just had my July 4th opening.
Nice.
It went quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I did manage to pull a 5-star Warlock from one of those Nexus crystals.
That's what I'm talking
so
about.
that was great. But I have 26 Tier 2 Alpha in my overflow now.
Ooh.
So I either tonight or tomorrow morning, I am going to make a rank up video, and I am running the scenarios through my head of who's going to get ranked up. And it's very exciting to think that I'm going to be able to rank 5, 3, or maybe 4 5-stars in a single day.
Oh,
like that's just crazy to
Yeah.
me. So I'm super excited to think about who's going to get the call, who's going to get ranked up. It's real exciting. I spent the 18,000 units, got all the 5-star deals because those are the champions that are going to be helping me between now and Cyber Monday. So I'm just really excited about diversifying and strengthening my roster.
Yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm just about to start that process about who I'm ranking. I've got, I want to say I've got 10 tier 5 basics and I've got 18 tier 2 alphas, and I need to start making some real decisions on stuff. I'll 100% Labyrinth for Legends by next Friday. Nice. And as I'm taking a little bit of time off, actually, I'm going to be taking, I think, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, apart from Marvel Contest Champions News, I'm going to make those are to be the 2 fresh videos. And then Saturday, depending on what happens with the podcast and when we've got to make it from a point of like, if we get an interview, but then it's a case of going like, right, who am I ranking up? When am I getting my next opening? As to like going, right, if I've spent all my resources, then, you know, I've left out an opportunity to rank to a new 6-star that could be amazing, or a new 5-star. So, and also I've got openings. I'm trying to get Red Guardian, Leviosa, as I want to get him. I want to get him, and I want to rank 5 him as soon as I get him.
Nice.
So
you got to get him. You need him awakened too. So.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing.
Do you have the gem?
Well, I might have the generic by next Friday. So that could be the right.
Oh, right. You're going to use the labyrinth generic.
Yeah, it's a case of going like, oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done. But I'm just thinking like, by the time I get that, you know, my meta shift of what I'm going to be focusing on as soon as it's going to be like, I'm going to be focusing on 6 stars next. Because I've got every 5-star awakening gem under the sun for different classes.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, to be honest, I don't give a damn. And as well, Kabam seem to be giving out them left, right, and center now. So,
at least the random ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Like, I'll use the generic on him, and I'll probably end up picking up something that's class specific. But in any case, that's been it. That's been the podcast. As I said, next week we'll try and get a Kabam dev on, possibly, don't know, we'll have to see. And make sure on Friday to come by to the live streams on Dan's channel, which I'll put a link to in the description, and as well my Twitch channel, where we'll be doing some Incursions run. I'm not sure, maybe should we do Old Man Logan?
We could do Old Man Logan. Maybe
we go.
yeah, we might have to put out a poll or something, but yeah,
That could be a
Old
good
Man
idea.
Logan would be cool. Yeah, I'll have to think of some ideas, but yeah, we're definitely going to use some of the more random champions.
Cool, we'll do that.
Cool.
All right, everybody, you can find us on YouTube on the playlist, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and we'll see you all next week for hopefully a very spicy edition. Good night, goodbye, and God bless.